Jason,
Hello.
thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So, you are Jason Jones of Jones and Associates.
I am indeed. Yes.
So, tell me all about you and your business and what you do, and because I know a lot of it is just to do with very, very, very pretty houses.
Well, the house. I mean, it helps when the houses are pretty. Yeah. I think. Well, it's probably worth stepping back a bit because I've kind of lived a different life before, or a few lives, and I got into property by mistake actually. But I think most people that get into property by mistake realise that actually this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I've always, I do, everyone, you always hear people say, oh, I love property. But what exactly does that mean? I love older property. I love architecture. I love the science of older properties. You can't modernise them too much.
No.
For example, they need to breathe and things like that. You start painting them with modern paints, they will fight back.
Yeah.
Just little interesting things like that. But actually, it's a lot of the business that I love is the people side. I just, everyone's so different. And the good news is the majority of people are wonderful.
Yeah. Well, they say it's the best and most stressful time of your life. And I can attest to that.
It's a shame because actually it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But that's a lot down to how we sell houses in this country.
Yes.
I can assure you there's a lot easier ways around the world that we should probably adopt. But you're right, it is stressful. And see, that's the thing, because we see the whole range of emotions. I mean, I don't think a week goes by that I don't have someone on the phone crying.
Oh God!
It's that it's that emotive, this business. But but I love that because it's at a slight extremes and it's real and that was the thing. I used to be a petrochemical engineer and we used to design things and then those designs would be discarded because the project would be cancelled or something like that. Another oil rig would be built or the company that was doing it would be taken over by another company that said no, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah,
and that actually kind of hurt because you think, but 3-4 years of a huge team of people had done this.
Yeah.
But it was very much, you realise that it wasn't really that real, these things that you were doing, but actually literally first point face to face with someone as they're going through this journey, I think is fascinating. And that's kind of how I fell in love with it.
Yeah, because it's like you say, you've not just sold houses here. You started abroad, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So that's so I moved to Italy, and when you move to Tuscany, the only thing that you can really do is get into hospitality, or sell very nice houses to rich foreign people.
What a hardship!
It was a bit tough. But it was fascinating because we used to restore houses as well, so they weren't all just beautiful, lovely things. And you'd have really long term, even if people were buying, they'd come out and probably spend a week with you viewing, I don't know, 15, 20 houses during that week. So you'd be having lunch with them and everything else.
Oh, lovely.
And obviously getting to know them. Sometimes you'd have dinner with them as well. Yeah. And the reality is when you'd finished, obviously they were generally living in your locality, so they became friends. If you were doing restoration projects, they could take 3 to 4 years sometimes. Oh, and you had that relationship for that length of time. And that's where a lot of the ethos for my estate agency now is.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, I was kind of surprised when I came back to this country how estate agency worked.
Because it's got quite cutthroat and quite copy and paste corporate almost.
Very.
And it's not great.
No, and there is a distinct difference between corporate estate agents, big multi-branch corporate estate agents versus independent estate agents.
Yes.
Or estate agencies, high street estate agencies. And now there are independent estate agents who will literally independently go out and do things. And I think they're great.
100%.
Their selling point is you will get them and only them to do everything. And if someone's happy to do that, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think the second best thing from that is building a business that is, just very customer focused. You're right. They lost their way. I mean, I think it's fair to say that maybe the customer outcome is probably a third most important thing out of revenue and something else in the middle, and referral revenue and things like that. And then maybe, luckily, if you're 3 or 4, it might actually be, the client.
Yeah.
Whereas we, from the start, the business is built completely around the client. There's every single thing we do. I have a mantra. If anyone says we should do this, we should do that, we should bring this into the business, I say, great. But how does it benefit the client? And if it doesn't, well, then what's the point?
That was something that we were taught in our Help to Grow class, was that any decision you make should be for the client first and then for you second.
Absolutely right.
And if you're going on that basis, you can't really go that wrong.
You can't, because there's so many, in lots of businesses, there's so many temptations to do things for the good of the revenue, but actually they are detrimental to the client. Now, sometimes there are things that are good for the client and good for revenue, great, but a lot of things aren't, and especially in the estate agency, and it is very, very easy to fall into that trap of turning into what I call more of a transactional estate agent.
Yes.
Back to that, actually you're fourth on the priority, Mr. Client, because everything else, I'm afraid I'm getting beaten over the head by my area manager. I need to increase revenue, and I'm going to refer you to some awful services that I can refer you to because we make loads of money out of it. I know you're going to have an awful time and your house will probably fall through because of it.
Yeah, and there's nothing more stressful than a house falling through.
Well, exactly. And it's awful. And actually, it's not good business, really.
No, because no one wants to go through that process 2-3 times.
No, of course they don't. And actually, the core of a estate agency is to assist your client in selling their house.
Yeah.
Let's be honest with you. Attract buyers to that house and sell that house and move on. And it really isn't. If all these ancillary things floating around the ether will help with that, great, but actually in a lot of cases they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you need surveyors, you need great conveyancers and things like that, but actually you should never take money off those people. You should always refer on merit, and these are other things that we're talking about. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The business could make extra tens of thousands per year if we went down that route. But then you're selling your soul. Then that's where it starts to get slippery.
There's definitely there's a moral line that, like, you have to have your own personal values built into your company. If your own personal values aren't right, and then your company values aren't right, the clients that you're going to get are going to then match those values. And so if you're wanting morally correct clients, you yourself have to be looking at it in a morally correct way.
You absolutely do. You're absolutely right. And in my mind, if you want to be ruthless and say, is it good for the business to run a morally decent business? Well, actually, I would say yes, it is. I'm constantly astounded by these sort of short-term gains that people will take. I'll get an extra £50 there, I'll get an extra £100 there, or whatever. But actually, if that affects what the client thinks about your business at the end of the day, well, then that could potentially affect whether they refer you or not.
100%.
And so didn't I do well? I made an extra £200 out of that client by the time they'd finished. Could mean that you would then lose out on an extra £3,500-4,000 on commission because they didn't refer you, because they didn't feel they got the right service. So really, that doesn't make a lot of business sense. I think stick to your morals and think more of a long-term game. And whether it's for the sake of the business or whether it's for the sake of your morals and that you actually do really do care about your customers and care about the customer service that they get,
absolutely.
Then it all works out in the end.
I do find the whole estate agency, just houses and owning a house and buying a house and the process of that, and like how do you work out how much money you need to put aside and all that. No one teaches you this in school. No one does. So when like we bought our first house, we were really, really lucky that my granddad and my aunt are both quite high up in banking. So we were like, incredible. They know everything. I was just called Granddad. I was like, Granddad, please sort it for me. Thank you very much. At one point, he called, I don't know, someone very, very high up in Santander and was like, you're going to do this. And then he called me back and was like, it's not a problem. It's done. It's like, okay, great.
I think everyone needs a granddad like that.
Everyone needs a granddad like that,
Definitely.
100%. But you're not taught these things. So when we were looking for a house, we were really lucky. We bought during, we saw the house December 2020. And then completed April of 2021. So we were right in that COVID sphere of you can't really go out and see houses that easily. But you're completely reliant on your estate agent because you're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before. No one's ever told me like what surveys I need to get done or, you know, how this process works, how long it takes. Like, I'm currently renting. How do I give notice to my landlord? Like, how long do I need to give? No one goes through it with you. So you really are going, hi, estate agent. Now, actually, I might not have even really chosen you. I just like the house that's listed on Rightmove.
That's right.
Help?
Yeah. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
terrifying.
And that's an interesting point where you say that, you know, you don't actually choose the agent to help you find a house.
Yeah.
You choose the one that you fall in love with the house with, and then you're actually stuck. And who's to say you're then getting the best advice? And that's difficult. And again, that's something very specific to the UK, because in Europe and in America, you know, the commission is actually split. So you know, the buyer is paying as well as seller. So buyer can generally go to an agent that they really like, or a realtor, and say, buy me a house, please.
Yeah.
And of course, they all have agreements to work together. So that agent of yours could go, right, I've got a buyer who I'm dealing with, but they like your house, agent A, B, C, D, and E, and they'd like to view all of those, thank you. But they are the ones giving you the advice. I think that's brilliant. And we don't do that here.
That's amazing.
We don't do that here. So you're right. It's literally Russian roulette as to which agent you get because you really like the house. So
and there's definitely some that like you look and you're like, oh, I really like this house, and then you see which estate agent it's with, and you go, oh, it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Help us. Yeah, we unfortunately we do get that a lot. You know, and it's interesting because we have had people say to us, you know, we really did. You know, there was a selection of 5 or 6 houses that we really liked, but we didn't actually go and see that house because we know other agents like, and we couldn't deal with them. Yeah, that's terrible, though, isn't it?
Half of them don't turn up when they say they're going to turn up, and you just stood outside some random person's house, which has happened a couple of times, and we've only bought our house once.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that the case?
We had a couple of viewings. I think we only probably saw 5 or 6 houses, and we had at least 2 where the agent was either good 15 minutes late or didn't turn up at all, which is just horrendous.
Honestly, it's crazy.
It is. But then it's really that nice when you do see the sort of more, I know you call yourself more bespoke estate agents, but like the more people focused ones, and the independent agents as well, where you're like, you are really 100% there for the person. Not just your seller as well, but also the buyers as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
To really walk them through it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, again, it's a side I didn't really understand. Okay, we don't get paid by the buyer. I understand that, but actually treating the buyer with as much respect as you do your own vendors. Guess what? You know that they feel that. You know, they're happy in the transaction, and there's probably a lot more chance of that transaction actually going through, because we are in this netherland of 4 or 5 months now that once an offer's agreed. I mean, there's so many things that we do with outstanding communication and all that kind of blah blah blah, because actually, you know, communication is really, really important. If you can allow them to communicate literally at any time, if they're sitting there at 9:30 in the evening, to the bar going, oh, do you know, I'm not sure about that, and you know, it might be a niggling thing.
Yeah.
They can message us. Whether we
No.
respond at that time
Yeah.
is another matter, but we certainly will first thing in the morning. Whereas if you didn't have that mechanism to do that,
Yeah.
that might just sort of sit. They'll forget about mentioning it, but it sits as a little seed and it starts to grow doubt.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, and probably it's one of those things that actually it isn't something they need to worry about, but they think it is. But if we can then either jump on it at that time, and it has been known, answering questions at 9:30, but if not, we'll be on at 8:30 in the morning, responding back, and 99% of the time it's something. Don't worry about that. Or if you worry about that, we can get this done, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's smoothing the path for them. So again, that's hugely important, because at the end of the day, yes, I appreciate the buyer's not your client, but your client wants this sale to go ahead, and they want it to go through to exchange and completion.
Exactly.
So that is also part of the service that you're offering.
Well, it's not even just that. It's knowing that the next person, because you get very attached to your own home, even when you're selling it. It's still really emotional.
Yeah.
When you're selling, you want to know that the people your house are going to are really nice people. I know we were very kind of cheeky when we bought ours, because we saw it again. It was during sort of COVID-ish lockdown, so the house owners couldn't be there. They had to leave. We had to go in with like masks on and shoe covers and all of that. And then we were like, oh, well, once we've viewed the house, we'll actually do a little walk around the area, and we'll just see like what the area's like. It's only a little cul-de-sac. We're like, we'll have a walk around. Yeah. And then the owners of the house came home, and we saw their car pull up, and I was like, I'm going to go talk to them. I was like, I know I'm not supposed to, but I went and spoke to them, and I was like, hi, I'm really sorry. I don't want to bother you. I was like, we've just seen your house and we absolutely love it. And I said to her, I was like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. We are first time buyers. We know nothing. And so I was like, is it really cheeky if I ask you, like, what's your household bills like in terms of like energy, council tax? Like, we have no idea what to expect in terms of like if we could afford that, or like we just want to have a good picture, like what sort of mortgage are you paying, whatever. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, absolutely, like pulled up her phone, was like, we're paying this is our bills. And we had a little chat, and it turns out it was their first house that they bought, and then they started to raise their family, and they've now got 2 kids, and it got a bit too small, and so that's why they were moving out. And it turns out that apparently this agent told us they chose us out of all the offers because we'd spoke to them and we were in the same position they were in when they bought it. Oh, amazing. And they liked the idea of it going to someone else who was in a very similar position of first house, likely where if we're going to have a family, this is where we're going to have a family. And they just really liked that idea and like got to know us a little bit. And so we were like, I know it's really cheeky and you're not supposed to, but it was totally worth doing it for us.
It's really surprising because everyone thinks the seller is all about the money. It's all about the money. Actually, genuinely, it isn't sometimes. And there are many times where we've had multiple offers, and the seller has gone with a couple that they might have met, or maybe we introduce them because we do that sometimes. Yeah. Or we obviously tell the seller the background of these people. And we had one scenario where the vendor agreed an offer £12,000 less because they really wanted it to go to this particular person. Yeah. And I have had people, I've sat down before with sellers before when we're maybe going over for the market appraisal or whatever. And they have said, I'm telling you now, we're not just selling this house to anyone. Yeah. We need to know that these are good people, and it might be
would be me.
Yeah, exactly, and it might be for the sake of the neighbours. Yeah, they love their neighbours, and they don't want someone coming in that's going to disturb their neighbours. Yeah, but a lot of the time, it's they couldn't leave their house without knowing that there were good people in it. 100%. It's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah, and it's little things like we've done. So the guys that owned before we did. He was a carpenter, so he'd hand built certain things in the house that are like, so instead of having like an ugly stair block, he'd built a set of chest of drawers where like the bottom one's fake and then they're smaller and get bigger, and it's beautiful stuff. And then we've gone in and we're like, well, we are just massive nerd. Like we are. If you walk into our house, it looks like a 12-year-old is decorated. It's incredible. We're like, there's Marvel stuff everywhere. Like we've got a Dungeons and Dragons themed dining room, more or less. It's very cool. Love it. But we're like, we know that like most typical estate agents would walk in and be like, you need to paint all of this white. Whereas we're going to be like, no, because the right person who sees this and is like, this is it. This is unique. The sort of person that we want to have the house. It's like, we there's a whole community of nerds out there like us.
Completely,
that
yeah.
would want it
yeah.
100% as it is. And we're like, we've spent all the money to do it up. Let's save the next nerd a bit of cash.
I love that. I love that. Actually, it'll make your house more unique.
Exactly.
If there's carbon copies of these things, and I don't know where you are, but if there are carbon copies of these things, yours is a bit more unique. There you go. There you go. So you'll find the right person, and of course they'll love it. They'll probably pay more for it because it'll save them doing it all themselves. There you go. That's brilliant.
Yeah. No, I think it's the right sort of mindset to have to it, because like your house is your personality.
Of course it is.
It's your personality just splashed onto some walls with a bit of paint.
Of course it is.
It's
of course
great.
it is. And actually, if you grow with it, because the thing is, a lot of people do scale up when the kids get bigger. But certainly, if people decide to have families and they've really put their stamp on like you've done, because the problem is the minute the family starts, all of that stamp business goes out the window. And all of your own time goes out the window.
Crayons on the wall.
All of anything to do with me disappears out the window. So actually, if you've got that chance to very much make it yours, and then the family does come along, at least you're in that environment that you like.
Absolutely.
And then move on later as they get bigger and bigger. But I mean, I love the home business. I think it's wonderful. And
you see some amazing places, because where you're based in Pershore, there are some gorgeous houses around here.
It's really diverse, isn't it? I mean, that's what's amazing around here. I mean, I live in Eckington, and even Eckington as a village has got literally every imaginable style, age of property.
Yeah.
But Pershore's very much like that. Obviously, the high street is very Georgian.
Yes.
And then you've got every range from ultra modern through to 70s, 60s. All of that. And and of course every single house, it doesn't matter, even if they're brand new builds, and there's carbon copies of them everywhere. Everyone that you walk into has a different style to it. It's fascinating. It's fascinating in that sense. And then of course ones that I particularly like, which is the the listed buildings and the black and white cottages and stuff. They're all so
I grew
beautiful.
up in a small village in Hampshire where probably a good 50% of the houses are thatched.
Right.
Oh,
I know.
gorgeous.
There's something about it.
Yeah. It's going to be freezing, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, mind you, and that's the thing with thatched houses. I think in the depths of winter, when there's fog around, they look amazing.
100%.
But they take on a whole different feel to when you see them in summer and the blooms
and
out
all
and the roses
doors are open. And
that's it. And the roses are growing up the wall, and I mean, to talk about quintessentially English.
It's a completely different lifestyle as well.
Yeah.
Because you have to prepare so we were in the new street that got added later on into the village. We were in the I don't know, probably 60s, 70s build area.
Yeah.
But we used to do a lot of dog sitting, cat sitting for neighbours and things like that. And you had to be like, right, I'm going in at this time, so we need to go in and we need to go put the wood burner on just to try and heat the house a bit, and so the pipes don't freeze and all of this. And it's a complete different way of life.
Those things are labour of love. I mean, I find what I love about selling those is you meet the most interesting people who are interested in them. Because, if you've got a buyer range of 100%, probably only about 15% of people in that buyer range are want to take those on.
Absolutely.
But then again, generally those people are not interested in anything else.
No. Character, nothing else.
Character, exactly, and they all come with their own character as well. They're all very, very, very interesting, quirky people, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But those things are labour of love. You have to look after them. As I say, they are living, breathing things. They're not one of these modern things that are ultra insulated and will just sort of stand there and be very stoic about it. Yeah, these things move, and
they take a lot of money to keep them going as well.
They do.
A thatched roof is not cheap to redo.
No, it really isn't. It's a lovely thing.
It used to be funny in our village because you'd see one person would get the thatch roof done, and then the next person along the road, and it's like they've all bonded together and gone, he's coming, the time has come to get the roofs done.
Or keeping up with the Joneses. Oh my God, they've got a brand new roof. We need one too. It's a bit like the front garden scenario, isn't it? Yeah,
it really is. It is very, very funny.
Yeah.
But I love Pershore because it does have that real mix of stuff. So my in-laws have moved to Pershore last year from Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, my other half is a Brummie, so I refuse to ever move to Birmingham. I love it, but I don't want to live there. And so we settled in Worcester because we met at Worcester Uni, and I was like, yeah, this will do. This is quite nice. And yeah, his parents moved to Pershore probably last year. You've literally got a house for sale around the corner from them. I'll show you where it is later. And they love it because it's a completely different way of life. It's so funny. So my father-in-law spent the first week trying to find the cheapest pint in all the different pubs.
Is that a Brummie thing or?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. He takes his own nuts in a little plastic bag because he doesn't want to pay for them.
Fantastic.
I love him so much.
Fantastic.
It's a great way of life. And then my mother-in-law is like, oh, there's a lovely little market on, and there's so many independent shops. And she literally has just spent her time going around all the different markets and the independent shops and finding those different walks. And they love it. It is such a vibrant little town that most people don't really know is there.
True.
Unless you're unless you're from the local area.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't really know it exists.
Yeah. Pershore's a great mix like that. And I mean, I was only talking this morning at an expo that was going on that we were talking about other towns within the county that may not have survived so well.
Yeah.
With shop closures and things like that, but Pershore has managed to not only keep a really good number of independent shops, but it's extremely rare when one or two will pop up and then not get filled within a few months again. So they're not just sitting there empty for a long time. So Pershore seems to have kind of got in the opposite direction of travel with most high streets. Yeah. We're very lucky. I mean, there's talk around the supermarkets and what they're going to do.
Yeah.
What Asda's going to do now? It's got some serious competition. But if they don't, then can be quite exciting. So I think it's ever changing. And I know I don't know why the council don't advertise it more, but they for years they do actually have a plan. Whether they enact it or not is another matter. But they do have a plan for continually trying to sort of smarten up the town and do things to it. So anyway, it's a good place that and then you've got these beautiful villages that surround Pershore, which in themselves are amazing.
Yeah, because you're not just Pershore. I mean, you guys go all the way down to sort of Cotswold sort of area.
Yeah,
don't
well,
you?
we can do. Yeah, we can do, and across to Worcester with with associates and things like that. Absolutely. But I just love all the different villages that surround Pershore, and some that then run off along the Breeden Hill, and they're all lovely as well.
Yeah.
And they've all got their own completely individual character.
Yes.
The villages, it's fascinating because I've come from a kind of a like you, but more of an outer county, more of a London suburb background, and London itself.
Yeah.
And so to come to this area many years ago, but to come to this area. Which is very quintessentially English, I would say.
It's very different way of life.
It's amazing. It is a very different way
very
of life.
Much.
Yeah, it is a very different way of life.
Because I found it very shocking. Because so where I grew up, it's on the Hampshire-Wiltshire-Berkshire border, which is a mouthful. But it's very much the south of the middle of the south. Yeah, pretty much. It is Queen's English, RP accent.
That's it.
Very much English.
Yeah.
And then I moved up to Worcester. And at that point, anything north of Oxford was north to me. That was north. I didn't think the Midlands existed. Wasn't a thing. And my dad's from Worksop, so I was like, God, that's so far north.
Where's that? Yeah.
I was like, that's so far. Like, Nanny lives so far away. That's so far north. And then you get here and you're like, the Midlands is actually really nice. It's a lovely, especially that sort of Worcestershire, Herefordshire area. The amount of like gorgeous walks and like the lifestyle and just the local like suppliers is incredible.
And you get used to that too, don't you? You do get used to that as you say, the locally supplied food or whatever it may be.
Oh yeah.
And actually the people,
Yes.
You know, I'll be honest. When I first came to this area, and you're walking in these villages, and people are saying good morning to you, you're like, oh my god,
it's a shock, isn't it?
You know, immediately the brain goes into this sort of London mode of what are they after?
Yeah, why are you talking to me?
Yeah, what was that all about?
Yeah.
And then obviously you realise after about 100 times that happens over a period of a few days, you think, wow,
this is normal.
these are really nice people. They're really friendly people. And of course, now you find yourself doing that to some people who kind of go, yeah, morning.
And you're like, you're new here.
Yeah, who's that? You're new here. You haven't got the vibe yet. Yeah. Because you do get a lot of Brummies down sometimes, don't you?
100%.
That come and do a lot of where I live in Eckington. A lot of them come down to do fishing. And a lot of them are great. But there are some where they're a bit stand backish.
It's a bit of a shock.
Oh, you talking to me? Oh.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all of that is lovely.
Yeah.
And
it is nice that you get sort of the option to have village life, but you're never that far away from a town that's got everything you need.
100%,
more or less.
And that's the beauty. You know, here we've got Evesham. You know, that's got everything that you could pretty much want. Let's be honest with you. I mean, it's not a city. It's not Cheltenham. It's not Worcester. But again, they're only half an hour away themselves.
And then even Birmingham's not that far.
It's not.
If you really
want something, and let's be honest, you can jump on a train in 2 hours. You can be in London. And actually, I came back last week. I mean, that 2 hours just flies.
It really does.
You know, and you're straight in the middle of London direct. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah,
it's very, very easy.
I remember it was so funny when I moved up here for uni. So I'm a uni student. I don't drive. I was like, I'm completely reliant on trains, and I was like, I can get into London much quicker than I can get anywhere near Andover or Newbury, near where my parents were. I was like, it takes me about 3 hours to get, and about 70 quid to get a train down there, and this was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and where I was like, or I could just go into London. Takes a couple hours.
Exactly.
It's not as expensive.
No.
That's quite nice. I did love where I used to live. It was literally, I think, about an hour on the train to Waterloo, and that was great.
Fantastic.
I did love that. As like a slightly older teenager, I'm a massive theatre kid, so me being like, an hour on the train, and I've got the whole of the West End.
The whole of the West End.
Wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. I still love London. I mean,
me too.
Give me 2 or 3 days. I've had enough.
Really.
I've picked up enough of the buzz. And as you're coming back into the greenery, you're like, you can feel the stress coming off. But
you see the trees change, and you go, oh, I know where I am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're in the. You can feel the air getting better and things like that.
You can breathe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, London is lovely, and as I said before, I grew up in London for a long period of time, and it was brilliant. But no, I am well and truly a country boy
Countrified.
now. 100%. I have transformed. Yeah. They don't know what they're missing.
No,
because you like you said, you do get this feeling. I mean, there's definitely a bubble there, and even I was a bit like that. Anything out of the M25 was rural.
100%.
As far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
And. And so I'm sure there's probably a lot of that still going on, but actually they're missing out on a lot.
100%, and also in terms of
it's all happening.
What you can get for your money as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the Midlands is great.
I know.
In terms of like house pricing.
Oh my Lord.
It's cracking.
We've had it. You won't be surprised. We've had it in the past. Someone sells their 2-bed flat in Chelsea.
Yeah.
And they're buying some beautiful Cotswold detached home for 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And they, you see the look on their faces. It's almost like I can afford that.
Yeah,
you can, and they go inside, and they're almost. You can almost see they're kind of trying to click themselves out of this dream. This can't be right that I could sell this little tiny flat in Chelsea and I could go and live here.
It's mad. It's like there's a little line across the UK that's like, oh, you get past there, double the price.
Absolutely right.
And it's just baffling. Like my brother still lives in Andover. And he's in the process of trying to buy a house. It's fallen through multiple times. It's been an absolute nightmare. And he was sending me like the houses he's looking at and the cost of them. And I was like, I bought a 3-bed house for less than 200 grand in Worcester. I was like, you wouldn't even get a flat for that in Andover.
No.
I was like, Worcester's much nicer than Andover. Sorry, Andover.
But
I
know
grew
what
up
you
there.
mean.
I'm allowed to say it.
I know what you mean, though. It's
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know Andover, but you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Just because things are down south and the houses are 2 or 3 times more expensive,
Yeah.
doesn't mean when you go and visit those places you think, no, I'm sorry,
There's no way I'd part with
it's
that
not.
much
Well,
money.
you go, that's why it's expensive down south.
Yeah.
And even these days, I don't think they. I don't think they get any more sun than we do, or things like that, do they? I don't think that's the case at all. And I swear, where we live now, there is microclimates in and around Pershore because
it's all the
you
snow
hear other
that we
things
had.
going. Yeah,
it was mad. It was like my sister lives in Birmingham, and so she was sending me pictures, and she was got like loads of snow, and I was there going,
well,
I want a snow day.
where's that? I did a viewing on that. I think it was that Saturday.
Yeah.
And a lady came down from Birmingham. And I swear she had about 6 inches of snow still on her car.
Yeah.
And I pulled up and went, "Where have you been?"
Yeah.
She said, "Well, Birmingham." She said,
It's
"It's Paul." Yeah, exactly. Where's that come from? Yeah. And of course, then I got really jealous because I want the snow. Yeah. But actually, it happens the other way sometimes, doesn't it? Pershore gets absolutely dumped on, and everywhere else is fine. So that's fine. But
it's crazy.
Yeah, we've definitely got special weather around here.
Yeah, 100%.
That's my argument.
But it's not just sort of estate agency that is your love, is it? Because the last time we sat and spoke, we spoke for a long, long time about rugby.
Yeah, rugby.
You have your second family, don't you?
I do have my second family, yeah. So I was very lucky. Both my sons played rugby, but my youngest in particular sort of took it further, or kept involved with it further. So I started off with it as a proper sort of dad, in inverted quotes, coach.
Yeah.
When they were tiny little things.
Oh.
Doing their little rugby,
doing little tag rugby,
rugby, and ripping off the little Velcro, and it was so super cute.
Oh, tag rugby gets violent really quickly, though. If I'm involved.
Well, absolutely. I was going to say anyone who loves it. I mean, especially young boys.
Yeah.
Suddenly you go chase that person and grab that.
You're like,
I'm sure the girls are exactly the same, by the way.
Oh, the
and
girls
in fact,
are worse.
the girls were
So much
we
worse.
had quite a few. Yeah. Yeah, and what's brilliant is, of course, that there was a core that is still there now, and they went into senior rugby this year. So, something like 12, 13 years I've been doing this.
Oh, my goodness.
My God, the time flies.
Yeah.
But as I say, there is a core of a good couple of handfuls of lads there that have come all the way from being these little tots and they're all bigger than me and everything else.
Yeah.
But it's just brilliant. I love rugby. I love the game.
I think there's such a camaraderie that you get, because I was brought up. So my dad was a rugby player,
right?
Played for Hunkford, and so I was brought up. My birth was planned around rugby season, so I was born in June, so I'd be a couple months old, ready to go to the matches.
Brilliant.
But that means that you grow up with this whole rugby community behind you, and I was like, this is great. There is no toxic masculinity in here whatsoever. It is a whole group of guys that completely respect each other.
Absolutely.
And then we'll go smash someone's face into the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's great.
And then they'll cuddle themselves after the event.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a very ethical game. And actually, there were some coaches that were had played, or one in particular that had played almost semi-professional, and he would always say, it's not just the sport itself. It's how you live your life when you're in the rugby fraternity, if you see what I mean. Because
100%.
They do. There's a reason why they call the ref sir and things like that. And that follows through, and you can see it. You can see it in these. Well, I say kids, they're not kids anymore, they're men. It does. It teaches you very strong values, I would argue.
100%.
And a lot more than other sports. Not that I want to mention, that strange round ball thing.
Yeah, that one. It's the wrong shape.
That odd,
shape.
very straight. It doesn't stop, does it?
Yeah,
Just
it goes where you push it. That's not how it's supposed to go. It's supposed to bounce everywhere.
What fun's that?
I know.
There's a lot of ethics in the game, and that cannot be a bad thing. So love that. Always have. And it is. It's a second family. It is when you spend that much time with anyone, really. I mean, obviously we've got to know the parents really well as well, and all those kind of things. Senior rugby, That's kind of crazy.
That is mad.
That's kind of
Your
crazy.
boys are all growing up.
They are terrifying. Yeah, this is the first year of. It's been interesting actually. So this is the first year that they're going off and doing their own thing holiday-wise.
Oh.
And my wife and I are booked to go with some friends on holiday in September.
Oh.
Now, we haven't done that for 15,
say.
18, 20 years.
Because you can't.
Because you couldn't. School.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going away middle of September. I'm really excited.
I'm excited.
So we
Where
get
are
to
you
do
going?
that thing. Oh, just a villa in the middle of nowhere in Spain.
Oh, lovely. Just a villa in Spain. It's fine.
Yeah, but just that. Yeah.
It'll be lovely
It-
September.
It will be. It'll be amazing. Yeah,
So much
because
sun.
we don't want it too hot. hot. So
No.
hopefully it'll cool down a bit. But yeah, so yeah. Well, I think
Exciting.
life-wise, my wife and I might be coming to that time where actually we can, start
Do
focusing
things
on
again.
ourselves again. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
exciting. It's very exciting.
Oh. So what about Jones and Associates? What's the next step for you
No, that would be
guys?
telling, now, wouldn't it, Tish?
Oh.
That would be telling. No, I mean we're expanding a lot, and one of the most difficult things I think in any business is expanding while keeping
Yes.
that customer service.
100%.
Because I've seen too many businesses expand too quickly, and then
Yes.
who they are, the soul of the business disappears.
It's your culture, isn't it?
It's your culture,
gets
and that
lost.
culture's got to. I'm absolutely adamant that has to stay, and I'd rather slow the growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, we did to a little to an extent last year to slow it down a little bit because it was almost going a bit too quickly. But
yeah.
so grow, firm up on other areas, look more into commercial property as well. It's going to get involved in that too.
Exciting.
There's a few interesting things going on right now. So I think it's going to be a case of watch this space and see where it goes.
You're going to leave us on a cliffhanger.
I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger. Yeah,
Well,
but I'll come back at some point.
Thank you, Jason. It's been a pleasure having you.
It's been lovely. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.